Hi guys, welcome to the class. Today we are doing what I call my rise and shine routine. As we sleep at night, our connective tissues shrinks and hardens around our joints, around our muscles, our organs, and that's generally why it feels so good to stretch out first thing in the morning as we're yawning and going, because we're breaking up and restoring fluidity to those tissues, and breaking up any sort of gelling together that they've done overnight. So it's going to be a quick one, I promise this time. It really will be quick. We're going to do 4-minute holds, and it's 3 poses. One that's asymmetrical, the other 2 symmetrical, so it should be around no longer than 30 minutes. As far as props are concerned, I've got a cushion, but this is a really lovely class to do when you first got up, so you can feel free to do it in bed. I love practicing yin in bed. I find the mattress has a certain give to it, so nothing ever feels too extreme or effortful. But if you have blocks and bolsters and other props that you wish or you think you might need, please feel free to use them. With any of my classes, please listen to your body, be aware of what a pose feels like, and if it doesn't feel good, then probably don't do it. If you're feeling pain or impingements or serious discomfort in any of these poses, I will give variations as we go throughout, but listen to your body. And if something doesn't feel right, don't do it, and you can just join in later. Let's get started. So, first pose of the day is just a simple twist. Come to lie on your back. You can bring your arms out to a T position, and bringing the knees to the chest. You just let them fall onto the left side. Now for first thing in the morning, this might be enough. In which case, if you need to support the knee with a cushion between them, if you're feeling a little too much pinching on the inside of the thighs, you can. If you wanted to go for something a little deeper and a bit more intense, you can wrap the right leg over the left and come down. If you find that your shoulders are lifting off the ground or your knees don't quite reach the ground, that's okay. Feel free to support it if you need, otherwise just let it hang if you're not feeling any discomfort. We're going to start our 4 minutes now. The arms can be kept at the T position. If you prefer to have them over the head, even resting on the side or on your waist, please feel free to do so. The same goes for your neck and head. It does not need to twist the opposite way of the legs. If that doesn't feel good to you, don't do it. The head can be looking up to the same side. Scan and check for any signs of engagement, of tightening of the muscles, and if you find them, softly relax them. I find practicing yin first thing in the morning sets me up for the day quite nicely, because I take these precious few moments to just break free from my mind. As I wake up, my thoughts, emotions, past, present, kicks in straight away. I find it's much more active then almost the rest of the day, that first instant as you open your eyes, and you get overwhelmed with those leftover thoughts from the day before, or the things that you need to achieve on that day, and it can feel overwhelming. So just taking that moment to let those go as you wake up. Reset yourself. Give yourself that moment to just be in your body without pressure from anything. About halfway through, if you need to adjust, please do so, whether to intensify or decrease the stress. If you do, remember to relax the body afterwards, allowing yourself to be effortless, the breath to be natural, and your mind focused on the moment, the pose, the body. During this sequence, I don't normally do rebounds. I tend to transition slowly, taking my time from one pose to the next. But if you feel like you need a rebound between the poses, please take it, pause the video, join us later. I personally feel like I've just come from a big rebound, my sleep. And so I tend to flow through, and then at the end take a few moments in Shavasana. Taking one last big inhale in, and slow exhale out. Really gently unwinding yourself from the pose, taking your time, moving slowly. Take that second or two in the center to reset if you need. But then gently we start to come to the other side. Now notice that this side might indeed feel very different. We are not built the same, one side to the other. So play around with the variations, whether you want props to support the knees or the shoulder, whether you want to bind the left leg over the right. The same pose you had on the other side does not need to be the same on the following side. Listen to your body. Take those moments to check in and see how it feels. Does it feel right? How can I adjust? Maybe my knees closer to the armpit, maybe further away. Your target area being your torso here, the sides. Know that there is always time to intensify and go deeper. So try not to push or force yourself into a pose just because you think it should look a certain way. Listen to your body. This has never been about how it looks, but how it feels. Soften, relax, let go. Try to keep yourself
hanging in this moment, this perfect, perfect moment that you're allowing yourself. When you feel the mind wandering, when you notice that you have got caught up in plans and lists and stories, bring yourself back to the breath, to the pose, to the feeling, the sensations you might be experiencing in the body. Where is your attention now? Where is your focus now? Bring it back. Less than a minute to go. If you want to stay longer or shorter in any of these poses, listen to your body. The turkey is cooked, take it out of the oven. Taking one last big inhale in. And slow exhale out, and really gently unwinding yourself from the pose. Again, take a second or two here. I like to come to rest on the opposite side and slowly bringing myself back up to a seated position as we transition to our next pose. I'm coming into a caterpillar pose, and I love to use a cushion to support my pelvis, to give me that momentum to be able to fold forwards a little more effortlessly. We're bringing our legs, extending the legs out in front of us, allowing them to be relaxed, allowing the feet to roll in and or out, wherever they naturally want to go. Play around with that width. Are your feet closer together? Are they actually indeed quite wide apart? When you find something that you feel is right for your body, you allow yourself to start to roll into the pose. Now I target the upper body here more than the back of the legs. If I wanted to target the back of the legs, I would try and come down more with a straight spine before allowing myself to release into the pose. Where I like to feel it first thing in the morning is along my middle to upper back. And so just sitting here, I just slowly start to let the neck and head hang until I feel that tightness, that burning in the back of my shoulders. I also love to throw in eagle arms here. And so what I do is I wrap my right arm over my left, and I find this intensifies that tugging at the back of my shoulders. If this doesn't feel good, just allow yourself to be there. Maybe the palms are turned upwards so that you're not efforting or trying to grab your feet to push yourself further. I will call out when we're about halfway through so that you can change the arms if you are using your eagle arms. But I start to slowly let go. I scan, I notice, I check, where am I holding on to things, to muscle, to tightness, to tension. And when I find it, I release it with an exhale. Check in with my breath. I notice that it's not the same as when I was in a twist. Every pose will affect the way we breathe differently, but still try to allow it to come in and out naturally. Don't try to make it the same as it was in the previous pose. If it's shortened, let it be shortened. About halfway through, so feel free to change the bind, wrapping the left over the right this time. If your hands don't bind together, that's all right. Even just keeping them back to back is absolutely fine. Even just giving yourself a hug can feel really nice. If you need to modify, if you need to intensify or decrease, feel free to do so. But with every movement we make in the pose, remember to release and let go afterwards. Taking one last big inhale in. Slow exhale out. Gently releasing. Using the hands and the arms to walk yourself back up so that you don't need to engage your back or your core. Take a minute with a tall spine, and then slowly we start to transition to the next pose. So we're coming into our saddle pose, and I know some of my regulars are going to be like, but you are shitting me, saddle first thing in the morning. But I find for me it's, whereas the other two poses are quite relaxing, saddle pose is like my shot of espresso in the morning with my
wake-up call. So having a few cushions for this is probably a good idea, depending on how far you are going today, how far your body wants to go today. So come to sit on your heels, or maybe in between your heels if that's available to you. If you find that this is sore on your ankles, maybe roll up a towel or even a thin cushion that you can place underneath to protect it, to support it. The second thing to watch out here for is your knees. If you're feeling this incredibly strongly in your knees, again, sit on a cushion or a block if you have one, and just allow a little less pressure onto the knees. Now, our props in this pose can be cushions, bolsters, blocks, or even our arms. So once you've found a comfortable seat, your knees, by the way, do not have to be together. They can be wider apart, and as you're in the pose, please feel free to play around with that position, because it will greatly influence how you feel the pose, especially if you're feeling it too much in the lower back. Take a little sip of a coconut before you go down. Also a morning routine. Then slowly we start to bring our torso back. Maybe today we're here, and that feels great, and you can just hang in there. Maybe you come down to your elbows. Maybe that feels perfect for you today. Maybe you start to come down all the way. Notice how my knees have lifted off of the floor. Oh, that carpet's really uncomfortable. So if your knees lift off the floor like mine just did, know that that's okay, as long as it's not causing you any great discomfort or any great pain. I kind of enjoy having my knees lifted. I find that I can track my progress in a way as my knees slowly, as my quads slowly release and the knees start making their way up to the ground. Take a moment to find the right pose. As I said, remember to play around with that width of the knees. The wider they are, probably the less likely you are to feel this strongly in your lower back. The arms also can be resting on your belly, out to the sides, over the head. But once you're in the perfect pose for you today, you relax a little, you let go a little. Finding the carpet so distracting on the back of the front of my feet. So out I've come, and I start to go down again. It takes a moment or two to find what feels right for the body. Every morning it will be different. Wherever you're practicing will make it different. So it's okay to move, it's okay to take that time to really find what feels right, what feels sustainable, what is an appropriate intensity, and then you can relax into it. I find especially with this pose, when I first get into it, nothing feels right. Like my lower back feels so much pressure, my knees, the front of my feet. But if I give it just 30 seconds of just sort of breathing and sticking with it, I find those tend to ease away.
It's not instant. It takes a bit of time to figure it out. And some days you don't figure it out at all throughout the entire 4 or 5 minutes. You're moving, you're trying to find that sweet spot and it just doesn't come. That's alright. Smile about it, notice it, be curious about it. About less than a minute to go. Taking one last big inhale in, and slow exhale out. Bringing the arms to the sides, tucking the chin to the chest a little, and just slowly making your way out, using that strength in the arms. Release the legs. Release the props. And coming down to feel the rebound. Taking a moment or 2 or 5 to just feel the effects of the sequence. Take a moment to check in with yourself. Notice, is there any difference to how you feel now compared to when you started? Notice sensations in the body, any tingling, any pins and needles, any numbness. Notice any temperatures. Does it feel hot or cold in certain areas? Does it move? Does it disperse? Feeling sensations of fragility and vulnerability in that lower back, know that it's normal and temporary. So see if you can go along with that ride. If you feel like you need to move and work some of that fragility out, feel free to do so. Also, maybe bringing the knees to the chest. Maybe putting a cushion underneath the knees while you're in Shavasana. Gently we start to bring our awareness back. And we bring movement to our fingers, our toes. We stretch the arms overhead, pointing and flexing the feet. Bringing the knees to the chest. Feel free to
Massage the lower back a little by swaying side to side. Coming to rest on your left side. Taking a moment there. And slowly coming back up to a comfortable seated position. Finding length in your spine. Softening the shoulders, the jaw. Softening the area around the eyes. With the deepest of gratitude, we bring our hands to our heart. And wishing ourselves for this day, may we have good thoughts. May we speak good words. May we do good deeds. Namaskar. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a really bright and shiny day. Thank you.